Today's lesson is on the powers of 10. So get ready to count some zeros. It's a really good method to write these notes in your notebook so you have them handy so you can refer to them if you stumble upon questions during your assignments. So, with the powers of 10, what we're talking about when we say the powers of 10 is we're saying 10 to the first power, 10 to the second power, or 10 squared, 10 to the third power, or 10 cubed, and 10 to the fourth power. Okay? And the way they work is if there, however many, basically whatever power it is, that's how many zeros you are going to find. So 10 to the first power is 10 itself. 10 to the second power is 100, and we count 2 zeros there. 10 to the third power is 1,000, and we count 3 zeros there. 10 to the fourth power is 10,000, and we count 4 zeros there. Okay? So that's just kind of to break that down. If you see 10 to the 10th power, there's going to be 10 zeros in the number. If it's 10 to the 16th power, there's going to be 16 zeros there. Whatever your power is to 10, that's how many zeros you're going to see in the number. Okay? Next, now we're going to take these powers and we're going to multiply them times different numbers. So here we have 15 times 10 squared. So what we get is 1,500 because we have 2 zeros that we add on to it. So 1,500. We have 17 times 10 to the third power, or 10 cubed. So we have 17,000. So we just add the 3 zeros to it. 20 times 10 to the fourth. This one's a tricky one because you're going to have more than the 4 zeros because you're starting with the number 20. So be careful when you're multiplying two numbers and they end in a zero when you multiply that original number, or in a situation like this where we start with 20, make sure you write your 20 down first and then add those 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we get 200,000 for 20 times 10 to the fourth power. Okay? The next part of the lesson is taking numbers and multiplying them by numbers with many zeros in them. So this is where we take those first numbers and we just know our multiplication facts. And this comes in handy when we start multiplying, like say we had 58 times, or say we had 52 times 536. Well, we could estimate this in our head and figure out that 5 times 5 is 25 easily. And 1, 2, 3. We count those zeros. 1, 2, 3, and that is what we get. We get 25,000. So if you can estimate that in your head, if this were 52 times 536, then you would know that the answer to this is going to be around 25,000. Okay, so this type of problem really comes in handy down the road when we start doing that multiplication. So let's go back up to the top. 9 times 5 is 45. And then I just count my zeros, 1, 2, 3, and add them on. 1, 2, 3. Okay? The next one, we have 600 times 3,000. So 6 times 3 is, you guessed it, 18. And then we just go through and we say, oh, there's 2 zeros in 600, and there's 3 zeros in 3,000. So we have 5 zeros to add. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, I barely have room. And then you put in your commas every 3. So that answer is 1,800,000. And now we have the tricky one, 4 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. So again, we have to be careful with those 20s. because we have our 20, and now we count these extra zeros and add them. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So even though I have 5 zeros, I really have 4 from my zeros here, and one of those zeros is from my multiplication problem. 4 times 5, which is 20, and I toss in my comma there, and voila, 200,000 is the answer. So hopefully that kind of gives you some clarity on how to do those kind of problems. The last type of problem that you're going to encounter today in your practice is you're going to have some blanks. So you're going to have to figure out how you get from, how do you get 90,000 out of something times 10 to the fourth? So let's do that first one. We have 10 to the fourth power. Well, if we look here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, right? And so if we're going to multiply 10 to the fourth power times something and we end up with 90,000, that's going to be a 9, right? Okay. The next one, we have 600 times something equals 120,000. Well, we want to first just look at the first numbers to figure out what the equation is, and we all know that 6 times 2 is 12. So I know that this number is going to start with 2, okay? Then the next way we figure this out is, well, if we multiply two numbers together, like we did in these cases, we end up counting the zeros in the problem before, right? So let's count these zeros. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Well, I have 2 here, so 4 minus 2 is 2. So it looks like I would have 200 times 600 equals 120,000. Okay. The last problem, oops, miss how messed up on. The last problem, I forgot to write the rest of the problem, but we have 10 to the third power, and something times 10 to the third power equals 6,800. Well, we have 68,000. We have 1, 2, 3 zeros, which covers our 10 to the third power. So this number should be 68. And voila. So that is your lesson on working with powers of 10. Hope you understand it and enjoyed the lesson. That's all for today. How out?